of September 2024. Mr. City Manager, do we have a staff report?
Thank you. And I'll just go ahead and introduce Andres Perez, who's going to do this one and the following item, and that way I won't have to introduce in between. And, did we forget public comment?
Yes, Mayor, we do have a couple of requests to speak forms.
Let's go right over that. Public comment, please.
Okay, our first speaker is Robert McCormick.
Hello, Robert.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Robert McCormick. I am a decorated United States Marine Corps veteran. I submitted to the court clerk an 8-page letter that outlines a thumbnail of what it is that myself and Lucia Reyes, my fiance, has experienced in the last 6.5 years. If it does not bring tears to the males in this city council and the mayor, then you guys are posturing with indifference and uncaring towards me and my family. That is all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The next speaker is Bob McKechnie.
Hello, Bob. Karen?
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
I'm Bob McKechnie, and Karen and I are with Cathedral City Peace Initiative, and we're going to have our 3rd annual celebration for International Peace Day, which is celebrated all over the world, and we're just one place. It's you should have a flyer. It's scheduled for September 21st, Saturday, at the Cathedral Center at 4 p.m., and we would really love to see you all there. Thanks, and
At the observance at the Senior Center, there'll be an art exhibit, and it'll feature student artwork from around the valley. We started making peace flags today on September 11th. We thought it was a good day to start, and we will have those on view along with other artwork from artists around the world. So we hope to see you there. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
And I want to add that, remind you that we are an international city of peace. That's one of 440 around the world. So we're standing out for that.
Great job. Thank you.
And that concludes public comments.
Thank you. Robert?
Okay, now I'll go ahead and introduce the next two items. Mayor, Andres Perez from our engineering department is going to give you 2 updates. First, on the status of the construction of Esperanza Park, which was formerly known as the Dream Homes Park. You all officially named it a few meetings ago, and it's on schedule for a opening in the spring of 2025. And then we're completing the design phase of the downtown dog park, which Andres will give you an update on as soon as he gets done with Esperanza Park. Andres.
All right, thank you, Mr. City Manager, for the introduction. Good evening, good afternoon, Honorable Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. Pleasure to be here today to give you an update on the Esperanza Park. Again, I am Andres Perez. I'm your project manager and assistant engineer on the project. So as a reminder, this project is located in the Dream Homes neighborhood. It is in between Mia Place and Chia Place, just north of San Diego Drive, in addition to the Whitewater River Channel. Now some background for the audience. As a reminder, the city received an award from the California State Parks, nearly $8.5 million in grant funding in December of 21. The following February, we received the notice to proceed with the design and construction for the park. The following June, we issued a design and engineering services contract award to Verda Design, and Verda Design completed their plans and specs for the project in September of 2023. With plans and specs complete, the project went out to bid, and the construction project for the perimeter wall and the park project were both awarded to Urban Habitat. And in December 2023, construction begins. The following April of this year, we had our groundbreaking ceremony. And in May, with the help from our PACE and staff members and also community members, City Council, everyone here adopted Esperanza Park as the name for the newest park in the city. So now we'll go on with the construction update. And in the middle of this presentation, you will see a video that Ryan and I went out yesterday and took some videos and put together a little montage for council members to see. And also, this presentation was also presented to the PACE Commission at last week's, or Parks and Community Events Commission at last week's meeting. So, site preparation. So, Urban Habitat has completed with the clearing and grading, removal of any unwanted material from the 7.5 acre lot. They've also completed the over-excavation and soil compaction for much of the park auxiliary structures, your playground structures, restroom. Also some rough grading and shaping of the entire project site, and it's been constant utility coordination between Desert Water Agency, DWA, and Southern California Edison, which are our local utilities for the park. Here you have some construction photos. You can see the rough grading for the parking lot here off of Mia Place, and some trench work for utilities in the photo to your bottom right. Moving on with park improvements, as shown earlier, you see the construction of the concrete curb and gutter for the parking lot near Mia Place, as well as concrete slabs throughout the park, specifically the playground area and fitness areas. We also have the construction of the 10-foot 10-foot walkway, 10-foot wide concrete walkway, and also which is our emergency vehicle path. This 10-foot walkway connects from Mia to our Central Plaza and our Central Plaza down to Chia, so runs throughout the entire park. It's also been the installation of electrical conduit, so light post poles for our emergency pathway, our park lighting, our parking lots, and monument lighting as well. We also had the construction of the perimeter wall. This western portion, again, is adjacent to the property owners or rear lots located near the park, and the construction of the perimeter decorative wire fencing. This is facing the Whitewater River Channel. Here's some more photos of the future Central Plaza. You can see we have lighting up and a rough grading of the South Park area for Chia Place, near Chia Place. Now, park equipment and amenities. We have the construction of the fabric shade structures. We have the dog park, large and small, the shade structure over the fitness area, and the playground equipment. Now, these shade structures, right now, all we have are just the frames. Towards the end of the project, USA Shade, our fabric shade vendor, will come back and install the fabric shades onto these frames of the shade structures. We also have the completion of the playground equipment and also the framing for the hardtop or solid shade structures. Here's just some additional photos, and on your right you have an example of what it would look like. You have the completion of, you have an image of the playground equipment and the shade structure, very similar to what we have at Century Park. And as mentioned earlier, we have the fitness area shade structure. A concept is on the right, and the hardtop picnic shade structure, which is by Icon Shade Structures, is an image is also shown on the bottom right. And here's a look at the dog park. This is very similar to what we have at Panorama. A single dual cantilever shade structure, and I'm showing also the fencing post for the park as well. And here you're looking at the frame or still frame for the large picnic shade structure in the park, and on the right is the sample image. And this is our video. So as you can see, there's been a lot of movement out there, and over these past 9 months, we've been working diligently to install these items. Items not included in the video, but items that we have received are the site furnishings. So we have received the benches and barbecue pits. We also have received the exercise equipment for the fitness area. And the last major item is the restroom facilities. Romtech has received approved plans and permits for building, and they will start their construction of their restroom facilities next month. Another key factor here, we have the park safety and security. So as mentioned earlier, we have the 10-foot wide emergency vehicle path. There also will be security cameras. Staff has been working, our city staff, our IT department, and as well as the contractor have been working on hand in hand to install the security cameras. There will also be security lighting featured throughout the park as well. And as we all know, safety is one of our goals and objectives for our 5-year strategic plan, where the city will also maximize its resources available within the police department to patrol and serve the surrounding areas. Additional resources will be available to enhance the security and monitoring should the city become part of the Desert Recreation District. Now, we're also going to rely heavily on the support of the Dream Homes neighborhood residents to be vigilant and report any unlawful activities and really take care of their park. Since they've had, as a reminder, the Dream Homes residents have been involved in this park project since its concept, so we want them to take care of the park as well, and we appreciate their support. Now, task remaining, we have the installation of the irrigation line, storm drain facilities, complete construction of the CV Link connector, additional hardscape, paving work, and landscape material, basketball courts, football court, and this project is still estimated to be completed by March of 2025. Now, here's our look at the fiscal impact. As mentioned earlier, we received nearly $8.5 million from California State Parks, and prior authorizations from City Council or a budget amendment in the amount of almost $2.5 million from the City's General Fund. And there are also reimbursable items for the park amenities from the Environmental Conservation Fund, and just over $530,000 from the City CIP Fund for the construction of the CV Link connector and concrete pathway, which is reimbursed by CVAC, or the Coachella Valley Association of Governments. This aligns with our Goal B of our strategic goal, community investment. And as a reminder, this presentation here is an update of the construction update for the month of September 2024, and this is for City Council's information and discussion. And with that, this concludes my presentation.
Cool, thank you. Any questions, comments?
And that was such a great presentation, and thank you. And I just wanted to share with the folks here and you too that Steve Veriker was our on the Parks and Community Events, and he was a commissioner, and he passed away a year ago, and it'll be a year September 16th. But he lived in that Dream Homes area, so he was just, his tail was wagging all the time that we were going to get this park, and he would be delighted to know that it's named Esperanza Park. And he has been in contact with either engineering or Deanna at Public Works, because his family wants to do something to recognize Steve, and they wanted to wait until the park is finished and to find out what resource or asset would be the most beneficial to the community there. But I just wanted to recognize him tonight for that. Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work. Thank you.
The park looks great, and I just had a question. Has there been any vandalism reported at the job site?
Vandalism, nothing that I am aware of. I will follow up with the contractor and see if he has any incidents, but nothing that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I was wondering if there has been any vandalism or any breakthroughs into the construction site.
There's been minor cuts in the fences, but the contractor has patched them up. That's the only thing I can think of right now, but I will follow up on that.
And what's the next, you can say, construction part of the project that will make a big difference?
Definitely, let's see. Once we complete the two items I consider here are the construction of the Romtech restroom facilities. That was a pretty big item to get done just because of the coordination with Desert Water Agency. And I would say storm drain facilities. Also, I mean, the entire, every milestone or every task we complete in the project just gets closer to completing the project. And so I say every task of this project is a major milestone or major accomplishment.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Christina, any public comment?
Mayor, I did not receive any request to speak forms, but if you're a member of the public and you wish to comment on this item, please raise your hand. And I see none, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Then we'll move on to the downtown dog park.
Okay, I'm back. Hello, everybody, again. Pleasure to be here. Now, this is the Downtown Dog Park. Again, Andres Perez, Assistant Engineer and Project Manager for this project here in our downtown area. As mentioned, this is a downtown dog park. It's located here, close to City Hall in our downtown area, just west of the new fire station 411, adjacent to Buddy Rogers and the Agua Caliente Casino. Now, some timeline for the audience here. So this project had a concept design that was completed by Rare Design in March of 2023. Later on in July, we used this concept design as a basis for our request for qualifications, proposals for professional design and engineering services of the park. And as you can see here, the concept design is featured. Following October, the City Council issued an award to the design and engineering services to David Volt's Design, also known as DVD. And the following month, city staff held a kickoff meeting with DVD. And since then, the project has been, we've had multiple project development meetings as well as site visits with DVD to assess the design plans and feasibility of the construction of the park. So some milestones completed by DVD. We have the completion of the topographic survey as well as a building assessment report of the existing restroom building facilities that we have at the park. And the designer has also submitted the project plans and specs 60% this past month. Now, key item here is the building assessment. So, as mentioned earlier, this was assessed by DVD, and they found there to be a significant amount of damage and deterioration to the building. And in order to bring this building up to code and renovate the structure, their estimate was $680,000. Now, the recommendation was to demo the existing building and construct a new restroom facility. Now, the estimated cost for this new estimated construction for this new building is just around $440,000. Now, with the demolition of the recommendation of demoing a new building and installing a new one, a new restroom facility can be installed at a more optimal location for both park users, as well as the use of underground storm drain facilities, which frees up space taken up by retention basin, and the existing footprint. With that gone, we can now add an additional pickleball court. Now here's a look at the latest layout or concept plan from DVD. We have additional pickleball courts, so now 5 in total. The restroom facilities has now been shifted down to the future parking lot and much more closer to the large and small dog park. And again, we're going to have the drought-tolerant landscaping, and I'll go over that in the next couple slides. So I mentioned earlier, so the designer is still keeping the fenced large and small dog park. It's also going to be a fabric-shade structure, benches, drinking fountains with water bottle filler and dog bowl, as well as a new restroom storage facility. And some images are here on your right. We have the 5 pickleball courts, park lighting, trash receptacles, and park signage as well. Now, with their 60% submittal, the latest cost estimate today from the designer is $4.35 million. And current task scope, we are currently still reviewing the 60% PS&E. And as a reminder, this is a tool for staff to use in their search for grant funding opportunities. Once you have a shovel-ready, having a shovel-ready project makes it a bit more easier to appeal to the grant reviewers. So as we continue to work on this, this is a good tool to have, and once we're done, it's a good tool to have in our pocket. So some prior authorizations from U City Council, we have $413,000 for the design and services agreement with DVD or Durables Design. This aligns with our strategic goal, Goal B, community investment. And this presentation is an update for the downtown dog park for the month of September 2024. This item is for your City Council's information and discussion. And with that, this concludes my presentation.
When it says park lighting, does that include the pickleball?
Yes,
Okay.
it's pickleball lighting.
Are they on a timer? Because I remember the old tennis courts used to have here, if you had a pass to get on, you could have a timer on the lights where you turn on manually. Is that the way, basically the same thing?
That's the direction we are going with, yes.
Okay, and is there a time limit when no more pickleball is permitted? Or is it a 24/7 gig?
Should be it will be when the park closes, so from dusk till dawn.
Dusk to dawn.
10 o'clock.
So you can't use the pickleball after dusk?
No, it's not correct. It's 10 o'clock is the closing hours.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha, covered, okay. Councilmember, anybody?
No questions.
I just wanted to, if I could get a copy of that, your presentation, I would love that, because I have lots of people in the Cove that are waiting for the dog park. So, anyway, thank you. That's it.
Councilmember Gregory?
So I'm just scratching my head a little bit, because when this came to us the first time, I could have sworn it said 5 pickleball courts and the dog parks.
No, it was
It was 4?
four pickleball
Oh,
courts.
so I'll go back and look, it's not going to say 5, it's going to say 4. I mean, all right.
It says 5.
Oh, it says 5 now, but I thought it said 5 the last time we saw it.
Oh, I see.
I could have swore that we were talking about submitting a grant for the dog park and 5 pickleball courts, and it had multi-uses, so.
I'll double check that.
It could be. So, how much of this additional cost is the covering of or having covered retention basin? You spoke about the restrooms, but then that part's just like, well, if we get recovered retention, then we can put another pickleball court, but is it the same cost as the open?
For the underground retention basin, it's, I need to double check that, but I believe the costs are very, very similar now. So underground retention is starting to become a new practice or new construction method for retaining stormwater. So it's nothing new, nothing really challenging for the contractor to implement. It's just another option that we can take, and it allows us to maximize our space within the park.
Well, if we can get a nice grant to cover it all, then that's nice. But if we can't, then you're going to have to value engineer at some point. And so I would think you would want to have that identified as an option if it's significantly more expensive to cover.
Okay.
And I also, in the same vein, I'm a little disappointed because one of the ideas of building it there, as far as the restrooms were, that it was felt that because it already had the restrooms with the utilities run there, that it would be significantly cheaper than building it somewhere else. But now it's like, no, it's cheaper to tear down the building, and not just tear it down, but now move it. So the utilities will all have to be moved, I would assume.
You're correct. And I'll make a point for the option of, or get back with the designer on that option for the retention basins and
Okay.
be sure
Well,
to
it just
include
seems like I'm all for it, and I want to have a nice park, but I hope we're keeping a mind set on the cost, because it seems like every time we come, it goes from last I remember was about $2.5 million. So I understand rarely do things come in, really at or below the estimate, but this now 4.35 million is significantly more than the earlier estimate.
So the reason we're getting these full-blown plans is we didn't really have a handle on the estimate, because everything was done on basically a plan view from 1,000 feet. Now we're actually doing the plans with the hard estimate, and this is the hard estimate of 60%. It could change at the end, and once again, those are today's costs. One of our feelings is If we're going to go for a grant, we're going to go for the full boat, and then we'll work with that going backwards. if we
And I'm
have
all
to.
for that, but part of this discussion has been we may not be able to get a grant for it, so then we have to go to Plan B, which is, try to find savings for it. And I'm afraid if we're not at least looking at some of the value engineer items, even if we're keeping them in our pocket early, that we're going to be at the end, and by the end, it's probably going to be $6 million, and then we're going to be saying, well, that's just way too expensive. We can't do that, and so we'll be back right where we were at the beginning with we can't have dog parks because, we don't have that kind of money laying around. So I'm sure we're all concerned, but I'm concerned every time we get an update, and the cost is accelerated, and then when you look at it, there are also other items, and it's not clear whether those items are adding to the cost or not.
We're chasing inflation. So,
Okay, so I do have another question. So last we spoke, there was some talk about going for a grant, maybe the state park fund or bond or whatever, or others, but then there was some question, and this was whether there was already some type of funding that was advanced on this piece back in history, and so that could stop us from applying for certain grants, or at least we would have to reconcile with the state treasurer, and there was going to be some research and then an answer back, and then I never heard an answer back. So does anybody know what was the results of that research?
yeah, as far as our research, we don't have any past obligation on that, according to
Okay, so
what
somebody
we've
has
done.
gone through, so we're not going to.
Yeah, we've
I just
had
don't want us to
some
get to the point where we're up, because it
confirmations.
seemed like before we were actually looking at applying, and then it was like, that was a question, so we missed, or we didn't try that cycle. And so I wanted to make sure that didn't get dropped, and it was.
No, my
was gonna
recollection,
crop back
about
up
a year and a
again.
half ago, we finally made confirmation on that, but it's been so long, let's double check it
All
again.
right, yeah, if you would, because we still need to clear that, it would make sense to keep working on that now, because, yeah, if I remember, there was some issue with research, and they were giving some long extended time, and then I don't think it ever got reported back to council, the result, which might be that it got cleared up, and so,
We'll make sure that goes in the weekly updates when we find that out.
okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Andres. Thank you, Mayor.
You're very welcome. Now, on the pickleball courts, I believe it's going to be really, really popular. It's a very popular sport, outdoor activity for a lot for seniors and for younger as well. Now, if there's organized groups that want to rent it or kind of overtake it to have tournaments, is it going to be first come, first serve, or will they have the ability to come to the city and say, we want to have this course from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock every Saturday for 4 months, something to that effect? I'm just spitballing that, but is there going to be an option for something like that?
I'll take that one, Mayor. When we get to the point where we have to worry about that, that'll be a great day, because that means we got funding for the park and got it built. But what I would anticipate that we would do is roll this into our fee schedule. You just amended it at the last meeting to add the soccer fields to that, and we would treat it in a similar way and add the potential to reserve fields for a fee. Otherwise, they would be available whenever anybody showed up. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Andre, thank you. Anybody else? Public comments? Anybody? No?
Mayor, I did not receive
Thank
any
you.
requests to speak forms, and I believe we only have staff in the chambers.
Thank you for both of those items. Appreciate it. Charlie, we're moving on to the Cannabis Task Force. You're going to give that report, sir? I'm going to do that. All right.
Thank you. I hope you like our new slide backgrounds. Ann and some folks worked on that to try to make it, really the bottom line was to try to make them more readable. But I think the nice color scheme and photo,
Nice.
it's good to mix things up. They get old after a while, so. Background, the Cannabis Task Force is appointed by the city manager. It's comprised of 3 industry representatives and 3 resident representatives. and then the city manager, I serve on it and serve as the chair. The purpose of the task force is to review and discuss issues related to the operation and regulation of the cannabis industry in Cathedral City. And we most recently met on August 5th. The topics that were included in the meeting are the following. First, there was an update on the state of the industry in Cathedral City. So I gave a report on, as of August 5th, the number of licenses that we had in each of the categories. Under dispensaries, there are 15 licenses out there, 11 are operating, and 4 were identified as not operating. And when I get to the next item and talk about the recent code amendment that you all approved related to non-operating cannabis retailers, I'll give you a little bit more information on that. Cultivation licenses, we have 51 total licenses. 32 are operating businesses, and 19 were identified as not operating as of that time. Manufacturing, there were 14 total licenses, 9 operating, and 5 identified as not operating. Now, we also have distribution licenses and things like that. In almost every case, those are paired up with others, which is why I just focused on those 3 main categories. In 23-24, the most recent fiscal year, taxes paid by the industry were $2.84 million. That probably represents I'd say the bottoming out of the taxes, in that was a full year with the reduced tax rates. So what you see now is sort of the base, and then as new businesses come in, as the additional bays in the Ramon Road business open up, that will just cause the revenues to go up from there, assuming that the businesses that are here today continue to operate. The committee spent some time discussing some of the issues facing the industry, and things identified were the high operating costs, banking issues, which really can only be solved at the federal level. The banking issues are a result of it still being listed at the federal level on the Schedule I narcotics schedule. Black market is a concern, and then the oversaturation of retailers, which leads right into the discussion on the recent code amendment that council passed, which was an attempt to address that.
Charlie, can I ask you a question as you go? On the black market, I keep hearing it keeps coming up. What actually proof do they have? To me, that's kind of well, we know it's out there, but we don't know really how much it's hurting us. Have they ever singled out?
I expect that in your statement, you have identified the real dilemma with that. I think everybody associated with the industry believes that it's out there and operating, but I think it's an awfully difficult impact to quantify. Yeah. I don't believe we have black market retailers in Cathedral City. We've found no evidence of that. Occasionally, our police have busted, I guess is the right word, grow operations in residential homes and things like that. So we know there is some of that going on. I think the bigger concern for the industry is big operations, perhaps even in other parts of the state, that ship product around and bypass the licensed retailers and cultivators. But I don't believe anybody is able to actually quantify that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. We then, I did provide an update on the ordinance governing cannabis businesses. You all approved a code amendment last year to section 5.88.070B4, which required that in order to renew a dispensary license, they had to present evidence that they had been operating in the last year. So we had, as a result of that, you have 4 non-operating. One of them has been purchased and is moved to a business that is currently working on completing their tenant improvements to their building. So that one is in progress and probably will qualify based on that. We did have one that there's a provision in the ordinance for a request for a hardship exception. They claimed some effects from the floods and things last year and requested a extension. The other 2, I believe, when their license come up for expiration this year, will not be renewable because there will not be evidence that they operated during the last year. The committee discussed continuing requests that we receive, and it's not like every day, but from time to time, we get a request from a operation that wants to do delivery in the city. Our code does not allow delivery unless they have a retail license. So delivery is allowed only by licensed retailers in the city. There was some discussion on that, but there was no interest from committee members in recommending any change to that. They felt that it was appropriate that in order to do delivery that they have a retail operation in the city. The last part of the discussion was on odor control. Our code requires all businesses have and adhere to an odor control plan. We continue to receive, I've used the word isolated in describing the complaints because they tend not to come from all over the city, but from specific locations. And in a way, that's good because that helps us to try to narrow in on where the problems are coming from. We did, however, the code department recently mailed a notice to all cultivators reminding them that you're required to have and adhere to an odor control plan, and code is working to, has developed a strategy for stepped up compliance audits. They had some meetings with people from the Palm Springs Code Compliance Department to discuss what they do to identify. The key thing in, we know how to enforce compliance. We have the tools to do that. It's really isolating where the violations are coming from. And I do know that through the years, often it was not that the equipment wasn't installed or operating properly. It's what I'd call operator error. We'd go over there and find somebody had a door propped open because they were moving stuff in and out, or left it open while their break was going on, and those kind of things break the seal of the building and allow odors to escape. So when we are able to identify where the violations are coming from, then we'll make sure that they correct that and take enforcement action if necessary. We have also worked with two of the repeat complainants to have them sort of log for us when they are noticing the violations, times of day and things like that, because that will help us as well in honing in on where the violations are coming from. So that's a continuing work in progress. Justin and his team are working on making sure that we're able to do an adequate enforcement job on that, but it is somewhat, it's proven somewhat elusive to find where the violations are coming from. So, I think that the committee, in terms of their response to that, everybody was supportive of enforcing the code that we have and making people adhere to it, both the industry folks and the representatives from the community. So there was no recommendation to change the code or anything, but they were supportive of making sure that we do an adequate job of enforcing the code as it exists. This item is presented for information, discussion, and direction only. I'm happy to answer any questions. I would expect the committee to meet again sometime after the first of the year. They had a couple of items that they want us to do some follow-up research on and report back, and so I'll probably schedule another meeting in the March-April timeframe.
Okay, great. Thank you. Council members, anyone?
Yeah, I do.
Councilmember Gutierrez?
Hello, Charlie. My question is, are all the cultivators and dispensaries, are they taking advantage now of the recent tax reduction that we passed?
Yes, they have all qualified for that now. The resolution that reduced the taxes required them to be current on what was due at the time. So we did have a couple of cultivators that it took them a while to get caught up, so they had to still pay the higher rate until they got caught up. But now everyone is current and is able to take advantage of the reduced rate.
Now, has those tax breaks, have they actually helped dispensaries and cultivators with their bottom line?
That's sort of a yes. I mean, yes, it helps to pay reduced taxes, particularly for the cultivators, because on the retail side, The argument is they just pass that tax along to the consumer who pays it when they buy the product. On the cultivation side, it's clear that that $10 a foot tax is a cost of doing business. So I think there's no doubt that that has helped. Whether it's turned marginal businesses into profitable businesses, I can't answer that, and that's one of the things that they ask us. You know, Stone and I, about 2 years ago, did some survey work of our businesses to gather research on how they were doing and things like that, and one of the things they asked us to work on for the next meeting was perhaps a follow-up survey on that regard.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? No? Thank you, Charlie. Any public comments? Seeing none?
We have none, Mayor. No members no audience here.
Gotcha. Thank
And
you,
I'll just
Charlie.
stay here. You all got lucky today. You got a break now between this and the regular meeting because that's our last agenda item unless there's
Okay.
any follow-up on anything.
Okay,
Thank
we'll
you.
go into recess till 5:30. Thank you, Charlie.
You want me to turn it